Okay, just picking up where Stephen Hammond left off. Now, I don't think anyone could plausibly claim that there is a unanimity amongst businesses and business people about whether we should remain in the European Union. But surely you must accept that the City of London Corporation has adopted an official position in favour of EU membership. City UK's survey of financial services professionals saw 84% of respondents wanting to remain a member, and 90% thought exiting the single market would damage UK competitiveness. And in terms of the CBI, their polling also showed an overwhelming majority in favour. And I heard I'm not here to defend the CBI and their reputation. They're quite capable of doing that themselves, but they do represent over 190,000 businesses across the country. So you must surely at least accept.
I'll show you about that.
We'll come back to that, but you must surely accept that majority of business opinion. Please give me contrary evidence. Is there a single poll that shows the majority of businesses back Brexit?
So the given that the British Polling Council described the CBI's polls as, quote, dodgy, unquote, I don't think anyone in this committee should take seriously anything that the CBI says, particularly given the CBI had to officially apologise back in 2001 about this whole issue of membership and how they survey them. So forget the CBI.
I couldn't, on the British Polling Council point, I couldn't find the word dodgy. I did see the complaint that you submitted in their response to it, which I don't think your characterisation, and I'm not doubting your integrity. You quoted perhaps a word, and I'd be interested to see where it was cited. But
it was widely quoted in the media. It's in writing. I can provide it to this committee if you like. The British Polling Council, quote, dodgy, unquote. The exact phrase was, "This looks pretty dodgy," unquote.
Well,
I'll get you the exact words.
When I saw their response to your complaint, that characterisation through the use of that word did not leave me with the impression that this was a piece of work we should be, too dismissive of. But nonetheless, it comes back to my central question. Let's take for a minute that you're right about the British Polling Council and it's dodgy, and we dismiss that one. Is there another poll you can give me that shows a majority of businesses backing Brexit?
Since 2004, I think, ICM has asked the question, do you think that we should continue, this is not exact words, but paraphrasing, something very close to this, do you think we should continue with the European Commission in charge of negotiating trade deals on behalf of Britain, or should Britain take back control of trade negotiations, get out of the common commercial policy? And the figure has been consistently 65-70% for taking back control and getting out of the common commercial policy, which of course is incompatible with EU membership. So that shows you, so that's pretty strong evidence for a strong majority of businesses think that the current relationship is fundamentally flawed and should change.
No, come on. That's evidence that if given the choice, businesses would take back that particular element, and you're quite right, under EU membership rules they can't, but if they could, they would. And we're trying to sort of stick to the factual evidence base here, and I don't think you can't stretch from that one answer to a poll and specific question.
The FSB poll of the small businesses, I think, was 40-40 about 3 months ago or something like that.
I think the FSB poll was certainly tighter, but anyway, I don't want to get too bogged down on this. I just think we've just got to keep things in perspective in terms of what opinion polls have shown over time, even accepting that polls can be
dodgy if they're from
wrong.
the CBI.
Wrong. Coming back to specifics, there's been a theme throughout your answers this afternoon, which is a principal point about concern about particular institutions, and most of your arguments rest on sovereignty. And I'd love to have that debate with you on another day. But thinking now about the practical consequences of leaving the European Union, in April 2014, a PwC report for the City UK said that loss of passporting rights could mean 70,000 to 100,000 jobs lost. Is that something that concerns you in the event of Brexit?
No.
And why wouldn't you be concerned about that?
Because I think we'll solve the problem of passporting, but I also think it's a secondary question.
How would we solve the problem of passporting?
By negotiating with our friends.
And why would you assume that you would get a good outcome that doesn't require us to sign up to a whole load of European rules that you have a big problem with?
Because our friends in Europe want access to one of the three big global financial centres, which is 20 miles away.
But no country outside the European Economic Area has access to passporting rights, and why would you assume that Britain, and especially given the scenario you painted earlier, where the whole project could unravel, that seems to be a desired outcome, but it would certainly be destabilised. Why in that circumstance would you imagine that we could negotiate a better deal than any other remaining member of the European Economic Area?
Britain is in a unique position in the EU. It's the only country which also has a UN Security Council seat. It's the only country which even gets close to living up to its NATO obligations. It's in a different position, and we'll only find out when we have a serious group of people conduct a serious negotiation. That hasn't happened in the last few years, so we won't know exactly how the details will be sorted out. But like all these things, given it's in everyone's interests to have a deal, it should happen. But also, my main point is the most important thing about the banks is to have a stable system and avoid a repeat of catastrophe. And therefore, we should not entrust the tottering Eurozone structure and the European Court of Justice with such an important role.
I'll come back to the ECJ shortly, but given, you characterised officials in a rather unkind way, and Chris Philp picked that point up earlier. Given he's done an apparently terrible job on renegotiation, do you think the Prime Minister should remain in post to lead negotiation in the event of Brexit?
It's not my call. I think he's done a very bad job at the negotiation. But then you have to think about what it is that he's actually been trying to do. David Cameron's not been trying to solve the problem of the UK's relationship with the European Union.
I don't want to get too bogged down in this. I wondered if you might indulge me, and you dodged the bullet. So I'll move on to the issue of currency. If we were outside the European Union, how would you envisage that we'd stop the EU from requiring clearing houses dealing in euros be located in the Eurozone?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
So if we were outside the European Union, how could we stop the EU from requiring that clearing houses dealing in euros are located in the Eurozone?
Requiring that?
Yes, so at the moment there are clearing houses located in London, for example, dealing lots of currency, including the euro.
Yeah.
We're outside the Eurozone, currently that's fine.
Yeah.
How would, in the event of Brexit, would you stop the European Union, or would we stop the European Union from saying, okay, no more of that in London, they're coming over to Frankfurt?
They wouldn't cut their nose off to spite the face. I heard the same stuff about the Euro 15 years ago. They never did it then, they won't do it now.
But, in fact, the European Central Bank previously did try to introduce such a requirement, and it was only thanks to the UK taking the case to the European Court of Justice to outlaw it as being against single market non-discrimination rules that we kept it here. So I think that's actually a really good example that you keep on referring back to 15 years ago. You keep on saying that they wouldn't cut their nose off to spite their face. We are presently members of the European Union, and apparently they already tried to cut their nose off to spite their face, and this terrible European Court of Justice, which is so terrible we need to get out of the European Union, according to you, was the institution that we relied on to make sure that those clearing houses remained in the UK and those jobs in that.
Even if they do what you're talking about, it's a tiny speck in the grand scale of weighing up the pros and cons of our relationship with the European Union. And you have to take.
Yeah.
You have to. Well, I've been trying to make the same point all the way along. You have to take an overall view. It's an extremely complicated field. There are pros and cons of any path. There are risks and dangers of a leave vote and a remain vote. And you have to take an overall balance of all of these different things.
Of course you do. I think what concerns me is that there is a principled sort of top-line argument you can make, particularly around sovereignty, which is one you've weighed heaviest on this afternoon. But there are lots of practical consequences, and I've just given simply one example where the carte blanche never happened before, we're a great country, look, we're on the UN Security Council. These arguments don't actually practically stack up. And so when we attack or see, quote-unquote, Project Fear attacked in the media, it's not Project Fear, it is simply identifying to the public there are genuine risks. Surely that's not scaremongering or fear-mongering. That's making people aware of the genuine risks that exist in order so that they can make an informed choice. And if people like you say, look, on sovereignty grounds, never mind the economic impact and the jobs and all the rest of it will balance out, I don't agree with you, but I think that would be a position that you could take and logically follow through. I don't understand why these legitimate concerns is dismissed as fear-mongering or scaremongering.
Not all of them are. I think there is scaremongering, but there are also people who make reasonable arguments and raise reasonable issues about the balance of risk. And people in particular fields have particular views about different things. The people in the shipping and insurance field, if you talk to people in the pension industry, for example, they're terrified at the idea of European harmonisation and think it'll be a disaster. People in different fields have different views, and it's perfectly reasonable for some people to raise risks of a leave vote. There are risks of a leave vote. I think that the risks of a Remain vote are much worse. It's not just about control, about who sets our laws. It's also about the practicality. The European Union's biggest project is the euro, and it has been an economic catastrophe, and has
thanks to Gordon Brown, we're not part of the euro,
and has also led to the growth of political extremism throughout Southern Europe, which you haven't seen since the days of Hitler in the 1930s. A political catastrophe for Europe as well. So our argument is not just about, Britain's sovereignty, blah, blah. It's also looking at the overall economic situation and the overall political situation for our friends in Europe.
Sticking to some of the economic arguments, your website states that the EU-Canada Free Trade Agreement includes services, financial services, mutual recognition of qualifications and procurement. Does the EU-Canada FTA provide the same sort of financial services market access as the single market does?
It does not.
It doesn't? My question was, does the EU-Canada Free Trade Agreement provide the same sort of financial market services market access as the single market does?
Yeah, I heard you the first time, and my answer was no, it doesn't.
It doesn't. So, on that basis, can you name any bilateral trade agreements anywhere in the world that allow the sorts of things that access the single market does? Particularly, for example, how we negotiate home state regulated rights of establishment in the way the single market does.
No, because there aren't.
And that doesn't concern you?
No, it doesn't, because we're doing something new. We're part of the European Union, and we're saying the system's broken, and we're going to take a different path in our interests and your interests. So we're trying to change a system which has been going relentlessly in one direction since 1949, and say actually Europe needs pluralism, and Britain can help Europe by catalysing the growth of pluralistic institutions on the continent. That is a good thing for Europe as well. So by definition, these things don't already exist.
I think I can see that the chairman's looking to draw things to a close shortly, and I'd quite like to go to